So this is why I think that the present lawsuit against Tonto Dike will fail. Now, the lawsuit that alleges exorcism, breach of the fundamental rights to dignity of human person, that's of the girl child, of the secondary school girl, and breach of the provisions of the Child's Right Act. This is why I think that lawsuit will fail. And let me just put it out there. I just want to use this opportunity to put it out there. That's what makes a person succeed in his claim in court is his ability to prove his case according to the standard of the law. Your ability, it's not because you acted based on emotions or because you were angry at what happened or because it's against your faith. It's your ability to prove your case, that thing that you claim, your ability to prove it according to the standard required by the law. That is what influences the judge to either give judgment in your favor or against you. And secondly, for every case, especially frivolous suits, you would not just pay damages for wasting the time of the court. You would pay damages for wasting the time of the other party, and you would also pay for cost of litigation. So in case you want to act because of your emotions, or in case you are prompted by your emotions to take certain decisions and probably approach the court, just get ready, because if you lose, you will still pay for damages. And then if you have not subscribed to this channel, this is a very beautiful opportunity for you to subscribe. Subscription is free, and engaging and commenting or giving us a thumbs up is also free. So why are you stingy with all these things? Kindly click the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Now, before I get into the essence of this video, it would be nice for us to understand what really happened, like have a background knowledge of the facts of this case, just in summary. Now, in summary, Tonto Dike went for one of her routine evangelism in a secondary school, and of course she concluded her program. She did the evangelism, and she also claimed that a lot of people gave their lives to Christ. And also on her way out, everything she did that day was recorded. Everything, the evangelism and the whole process, everything was recorded. And then on her way out, the person that was recording her was still recording, where one of the students approached her for prayers, that she has been having nightmares of bats in her dream, and that she should pray for that. Tonto Dike should pray for her. And while Tonto Dike was just trying to pray a simple prayer, the girl started manifesting. Like, she started, so Tonto Dike had to put off her vehicle, came out of the car and held her to pray for her. And as Tonto Dike was praying for the girl fell under anointing, and Tonto Dike continued with the prayers until the girl was delivered. Now, afterwards, a human rights lawyer filed an action of a fundamental rights application against Tonto Dike, now claiming exorcism, claiming that Tonto Dike breached the rights of that secondary school girl by the method at which she conducted the conducted the deliverance, and said that the fact that it was recorded, according to him, that it was not recorded with her consent, and published with her consent, because after everything, Tonto Dike published what happened that day. Tonto Dike published everything that happened that day, not just that not just that deliverance. Okay, so the legal practitioner claimed that the fact that Tonto Dike, the girl fell and Tonto Dike held her on the ground to pray for her, was a breach of her fundamental rights to dignity of human person, yes, and it also breaches the right of that girl child, that secondary school girl, the rights of the girl with respect to the provisions of the Child Rights Act, and further claimed the sum of 200 million against Tonto Dike for damages, and also applied that the court should declare what happened in that video as unlawful, and um order Tonto Dike to bring down that video and make a public apology in any national newspaper. So that is this whole thing. That's the facts of the case. Now, three things were alleged here: exorcism, breach of the right to dignity of human person, and breach of the provisions of the Child Rights Act. First, we are going to establish the fact that Tonto Dike has her right, of course, under section 38 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that provides for the right to religion. It provides for the right to religion, and that section also provides for freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, freedom to change your religion or belief, freedom to practice, manifest, and propagate your religion. That is what section 38 of the 1999 Constitution, yes, provides. So Tonto Dike was already exercising her rights in this instance. Now, regarding the claims alleged by the human rights activist or human rights lawyer that filed a fundamental rights application against Tonto Dike, one of them is that Tonto Dike um, conducted exorcism, and in the course of it, she actually breached the rights of the schoolgirl, the right to dignity of human person of the schoolgirl. And in just simple terms, exorcism means conducting deliverance, and no law in Nigeria makes exorcism unlawful in itself. Okay, no law in Nigeria makes exorcism unlawful in itself. Now, exorcism becomes unlawful and a breach to the fundamental rights of dignity of human person when it is done without consent of the person that you are conducting the deliverance on, or when it is done by force or coercion, or when it is done um, involving any harmful ritual, okay, or when it is done by applying some form of physical violence or torture or pain or inhuman or degrading treatment or public humiliation or starvation or harmful confinement of any sort. That is when exorcism would now be said to have breached the provisions of section 34, which is the right to dignity of human person. Now, finally, the council that filed an action, a fundamental rights application against Tonto Dike, also claimed that Tonto Dike breached the provisions of the Child Rights Act. What does the Child Rights Act uphold? The Child Rights Act upholds the best interest of the child. For everything that you are doing for any child, that the best interest of the child must first be considered and carried out. Now, in all of these explanations I have just given, do you think that this lawsuit would succeed when Tonto Dike actually conducted the said exorcism or deliverance on the child with her consent, with the child's consent, because it would be in the best interest of the child for the child to be delivered? Okay. Secondly, that there was no form of coercion or force or any form of inhuman treatment in the course of it. Of course, we can see it in the video, that that child was not injured in any way, that child was not coerced, or there was no form of unlove or there was no form of violent ritual. It was just prayers that she was praying, okay, which is in tandem with the provisions of the law. I also want to add that also considering the fact that everything that happened that day was aired, not just the deliverance session. Everything Tonto Dike did that day, like she usually does, was aired. So the council that brought the fundamental rights application should also be able to prove that the child or that girl did not consent to it being the fact that she was delivered being aired, and she also prove that she did not also consent to the fact that the publication of the deliverance was without her consent, and he should also prove that the said publication actually humiliated the girl or damaged her dignity of human person. He has to prove that before he succeeds in his claim. I hope we have found this video helpful, and possibly share to everyone that you think that will need it. Thank you very much for having me, and enjoy the rest of it.